Market. I'm Kevin Hinks along with Nathan Peterson. Now it's time for our cash tag segment. For that, I'd like to bring in the co-founder of LikeFolio.com, Mr. Andy Swan. Andy, this is a perfect example of what we're going to do a lot during this earnings season, and that is look at the one-year chart that actually doesn't look bad in Roku, and you look at the three-year chart that really tells a different story. This is a company that's got to have digital ad spend coming their way, Andy. Meta Platforms had it. Snap clearly didn't. Where does Roku land on that scale?
I'm going to guess Roku lands in the middle of those two. You know, just looking at, LikeFolio data perspective, I don't think we're seeing anything that tells us Roku is winning consumers over at a really rapid pace. If you look at, consumer purchase intent mentions, those mentions that talk about, getting a Roku TV, installing a Roku device, all that kind of thing, really just kind of flat, a strong company with strong growth, but nothing out of this world like we saw a few years ago. And then on top of that, the one thing that really concerns me the most about Roku here is when I compare it to some other peers, which is hard to do because there's devices, there's content, Roku's in a lot of different avenues, including advertising. But just compared to some other peers, Roku kind of bottom of the pack among the content side of things, barely beating out Netflix and below some others. So again, not bad, just nothing that I'm really getting very excited about. And when a stock is up as much as Roku is over the past year, you really want to be very excited before an earnings event like this. And for me, it's just not there at this point.
Hey, Andy, I noticed on their last earnings report, Roku said that their streaming hours per active user was a record 3.9 hours. That doesn't sound like an unhappy consumer in my mind. Yeah. Accounts were also up 17% year over year as well, active accounts. And then, like you're mentioning, with that 66%, is that common as you look at your data more historically? Is it common to see Netflix and Roku down towards the bottom of the pack, or is this kind of a recent transition as the likes of Fubo? I mean, that surprised me to be at the top there. Yeah. Is there something tying into the trend there, or is that just historically where Roku is kind of hung out?
No, they just both kind of fallen off down to that level. I think they've both become a little bit old news. I think some of that initial magic that you might have experienced when you first, when Roku first came out, when Netflix was first introducing its own streaming independent content, those kind of blew people away and made, those consumer happiness mentions just absolutely explode. So where they're at now is not bad at all. It's kind of what you would expect from a more mature company in a more mature space. And so that's what I'm saying. I think Roku is that. It's a more mature company now in a more mature space. And so what is the next catalyst that gets them really to those, the stock to where it was a couple of years ago? It's got a long way to go. It's had a great year this year, but it's got a really long way to go to get back to those old highs.
Andy, they've had 3 in a row earnings beats, although losing less money is an earnings beat. But how about this deal with Shopify, where they're allowing those third-party Shopify customers to actually advertise on their streaming service? Is that going to help them at all? Is that going to give them any kind of bump? Or are they looking for the bigger fish digital ad spend?
Yeah, I think the answer is both. I think it's a great move by Roku to open this up to this partnership with Shopify. I think there's probably other partners out there that could do really well. I don't see that playing a big role in this quarter's results, but I think if the company's smart, it'll play a big role in what they talk about in terms of the future, because they've got to have a story out there beyond just their own branded TVs. They need that next thing. And so far, I don't see anything that tells me that they've got it. But certainly this Shopify partnership could be that. I think it's a really, really smart move by the company.
Andy Swan, co-founder of LikeFolio.com. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for giving us the LikeFolio data that we see every day and love so much. Have a great day, Andy.
Thank you. You too.
All right, Nathan.